Hey everybody, welcome to this week's edition of Title Scoop. This week we're going to talk about CPLs, closing protection letters. I've had several questions in the past week about CPLs, so I just thought we'd go over the basics and really learn kind of what they are and the why behind them. So the first thing I would say is know your state. Every state is a little different, and if you don't know whether they're required in your state or whether you should be charging a fee or if it's common or uncommon, definitely reach out to your underwriter. Your underwriter will be able to tell you what's required, what isn't, and what the fees should be. Also, if you're interested, NAIC has a great document. It's a few years old, but it actually lays out all 50 states and what's required and what's not. Now, that's probably a little out of date, so it'll at least be a guiding post. If you want that, shoot me an email afterward. I'll send it to you. But it does give a lot of information in there, and it's pretty interesting. So it'll at least give you an idea, and if you're not sure, again, call us. We're happy to help you know what you need to be doing in your state. So first, what is a CPL? A closing protection letter, a CPL, is an assurance. So not insurance, it's an assurance by the underwriter to the customer of a title agent, and it protects really against theft, misappropriation of funds, closing funds, or the violation of the closing instructions by the lender. So why did we start doing CPLs? That's a question I've had actually, like, when did these start? And they actually started in the 1970s. So title insurance had been around a long time before we were doing CPLs, and they were started because of lenders. Lenders are a lot of times doing their own closings, and title companies were trying to be able to handle the entire process. And to do that, the lenders wanted some type of assurance that the funds would be handled properly, the documents, the closing instructions would be followed. And that was kind of the advent of CPLs. So why are they necessary? Again, one is because the lender probably wouldn't close with us if we didn't provide them. But two, when you're a title agent, your agency agreement actually only covers title. So in policy, so it doesn't cover escrow and settlement. And sometimes that's a misconception. People think it covers everything. We get a lot of escrow questions as underwriters, even though your agency agreement is actually for title purposes. So I didn't check all the states, but I feel fairly confident saying, generally speaking, a CPL isn't going to be issued unless you're issuing a title policy. So you need to be doing a title policy in order to do it. And usually you're going to be doing the closing too. But some states, there's a little bit of gray there as far as when they're issued, because we have some states that require them no matter what. So who's protected? This is interesting too, because it can be a buyer, a seller, or a lender. So some states I've been in, actually only the lenders would request them, and sometimes that was maybe 50%. And then I've been in states like Illinois, where the buyer, seller, and the lender actually get a CPL on every transaction, and you can only waive it if there's a certain caveat. So again, know your state and know whether it's common for everyone to get it or if it's just voluntary and one person can request it. So another question I get is, have we ever seen claims on CPLs? That's something that people are always curious about, and we do. It's not super frequent in my opinion. I did ask our claims team, and they had the same, like, we see them, but it's not something that we see every single day. But it does happen, and that's why they're there. They're there to protect the protected party, the buyer, the seller, or the lender, if there's some type of misappropriation or if the closing instructions weren't followed. So again, it happens, and if you have someone who reaches out, just refer them to our claims department, and they're happy to talk to them and work with them on it. So the last thing is, when do they go into effect? And I would say, generally speaking, it's going to be pretty close to the same everywhere. Obviously, can differ a little bit, but it's going to be, you have to have the commitment issued, the closing funds would be dispersed, recordings would be done, or at least in process, and the premium has been paid. So those are kind of the big things that you want to make sure would happen before someone is raising a claim off of, or raising an issue off of their CPL. So if we haven't done a closing, it may not be effective. So again, just going to want to know your state. If there's any caveats in your laws, again, ask your underwriter if you're not sure. With that, we're going to call it a week, and we will see you next week.